Hello everybody, Travis here for Tpull's Corner, and we have a new deck today, and they give me 4 lands up front. How about that? Well, I do have 25 lands in the deck instead of 24, so maybe I upset the algorithm. I didn't stick with the standard default. This deck is called Enlisting Backup. I want to use Baldivian Berserker and basically use its enlist ability to get the ability of the power of another creature. And let's go ahead and bring it out now, as a matter of fact. Opponent has plenty of land themselves. And a game killer. That is a disgusting thing to face this early in the game. Let's go ahead and try bring something else out. We'll just attack. That's a little too soon for me. I'm not ready for the Forge. That alone has the potential ability to completely annihilate you. Of course, my main source of removal is black, and black is not good against artifacts. Are they giving me enough of the specialty lands? Okay, the magic number for most of my removal is 5. Although, if they manage to kill any of my creatures, Overwhelming Remorse actually gets cheaper. So disgusting. They've got all those cards and there's still nothing better to do. Okay, can I go ahead and get this out now? Yes. Okay, we search our sideboard. We go get Structural Assault. No attacks because we got a block against the Restless Prairie. And now we take one more hit from the Forge. And then we use Structural Assault. And now we start using their other cards. All that. Fine, go ahead. Okay, since that's 2 artifacts, that's going to kill our Sizzling Soloist, so I was supposed to have blocked, but oh well. So basically clear the field from them, and then I just have to worry about their land. No Field of Ruin coming up yet. They should want to go get their angel, right? Okay, we will go ahead, X out of that, bring this puppy down, just keep its power there. No attacks. They've got so many cards in hand, it's hard to believe they wouldn't have removal. But we're kind of half dead here, so they're tapped out. so they want to do an even trade. That's good for me in my position. And I think they're having trouble getting land, right? Because they... oh, they have 4 colors at least. And they were not ready. Okay. So now we go chip away at invasion of Arcavios. And we've kind of equalized. They had us on the run just from the forge and the land. It can turn into a creature. But if they've got too much in terms of black spells, they can't cast a single black spell. It's hard to believe. Yeah, I was going to say. There we go. You can take the Berserker, that's fine. We'll bring out the Kraken. Release the Kraken! Do we want to return anything? No, we don't want to return anything to anybody's hand. If they have another ossification, they just have another ossification. They've got another land here. Yet another creature, another land that can turn into a creature and attack, and they're not going to do it. And they don't put anything out. And that's an instant. So what happens when we go and attack? They just take it? That's lovely. Okay, this is a sorcery. How much land do I have? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have just enough. Okay, so we get rid of the non-basic land. We just exile it. We can copy it. Return. No, we don't want to return anything still. But we'll go ahead and copy the spell. And we're going to exile this source of black mana. I don't need more land myself. 9 is good for me. And a board wipe, emergency board wipe. I probably don't need it, but they're down to 3 lands, and I took away their new ability to cast black spells. So, not at all the theme of the deck, not at all the way we were trying to win. We just win with the Hullbreaker Horror. Well, when you got the bombs in your deck and you get the bombs out, you go with what works. It's been a while since I had a deck with Hullbreaker Horror in it, so it's kind of fun to play with the card again. So, to all the new people, welcome. Please subscribe to Tpull's Corner. I'm your normal, everyday host, Travis. Like the video. What's not to like seeing the Hullbreaker Horror bear down on a poor, defenseless opponent? Okay, enlisting backup. What we did is we're going back to some of the older expansions, and we're seeing how they work with the newer cards. So I've got one copy of the ancient one so far. This is a mythic rare from Ixalan. It's an 8/8, but it can't attack or block unless there's 8 or more permanent cards in my graveyard. You can sort of get there because you can actually use the 4 mana as an activated ability, draw a card and discard a card, and then mill cards equal to the mana value. So you could just try and do this like I did during the early access event and turn this into a mill deck and try and mill out your opponent. Or you could mill, discard one of your, say I had like a Hullbreaker Horror and I was willing to discard it, then I could mill myself for 7 cards and get up to that 8 cards, 8 permanent cards, and land cards count, right? They're permanents. And just start to attack real soon with an 8/8. But I'm counting on this little Balduvian Berserker to come out because I've got 4 copies of it. And it has Enlist, so you can tap a non-attacking creature that doesn't have summoning sickness and add power to this creature's. So if I bring out the Ancient One on turn 2, bring out the Balduvian Berserker on turn 3, on turn 4, I can attack, enlist, use the Ancient One's power, and make the Balduvian Berserker a 9/3. If the opponent kills it, I still get to have damage, because when the Berserker dies, it deals damage equal to its power. After it's enlisted, power is going to be 9. So that could kill another creature I want to, or just direct to the opponent's face, or maybe a Planeswalker. In the meantime, the backup part of Enlisting Backup, I have 4 copies of Veldaren Thrillseeker, and for that, you got a 1/1, you can bring it down, it puts 2 counters on itself, that's what the backup 2 number is for, becomes a 3/3, and then as long as you keep 1 mana open, it doesn't matter the color, you can sacrifice it, deals damage equal to its power to any target. So if they waste a removal spell, you can just sacrifice it, deal 3 damage, again, to the opponent's face, opponent's creature, whatever. But if it's strategically, or tactically wise, I should say, we could take that back up 2 and put it on the Ancient One, make the Ancient One a 10/10, and then sacrifice the Ancient One for 10 power, 10 damage. And that's when you get into high numbers. And so that's generally the idea, right? So to help us out, let me go through the overview real quick. We've got 23 creatures, more than I tend to do. 1 extra land, 25, because I got an expensive deck. But the average mana value is less than 4.4. It's not going to be that expensive. We'll show you why later. We've got 1 Fading Hope to either protect something like an Ancient One, since I only have 1 copy, or to bounce a token. I've got 1 Minor Misstep, counter target spell with mana value 1 or less. So if they have a trick they do during combat, and we've got that handy, we can surprise them. For things like Urbra's Forge, I've got Defabricate, counters target artifact or enchantment spell. I've also got a card nobody uses, Explosive Entry. This is from the Kamigawa expansion, Neon Dynasty. Destroy up to 1 target artifact. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature. So with Ixalan alone, there are so many tempting artifacts. I'm expecting to come up against artifacts at some point. And we already did. But so I've got these 2 cards main decked in here, and I've got something else to help out later if we need it. A lot of times, I'm still coming up against mono red aggro with this deck, so sometimes these don't work that well. Callous Sellsword. This is another way to sacrifice a creature. For just 1 red mana, we have the Burn Together Adventure sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to any other target, then sacrifice it. So, just like Thrillseeker, we can just, for 1 mana, it has to be red though, we could sacrifice this for 8 and do 8 damage. Then if you have 2 additional mana, you can bring it down, and it gets a +1/+1 counter for each creature that died. So you're going to get, for just 3 mana, you're going to be able to do some damage and get a 3/3. So that's some nice value if you want to do all that in 1 turn. And if you attacked and lost some more creatures or something, then it'll be even more powerful. For removal, I've got 1 Board Wipe with Path of Peril. I've got 1 Bleed Dry with -13/-13 that results in an exile instead of death, instead of destroying the creature. The End, this is from Eldraine. You can exile a target creature or planeswalker, and then search for their graveyard, hand, and library for the same card. So if they're packing 4 the same, like we want to get rid of 4 copies of Elspeth or something, we can just aim it at 1 card and then get rid of it. Now, if we exile something that's in their hand, they do get to draw a new card. If they have 2 copies of the same planeswalker in the hand that we're getting rid of, they get to draw 2 cards, just to replace it, replacement value. We have 3 Overwhelming Remorse. This costs 5 to start with. You can exile the target creature or planeswalker, but for each creature card that goes into my graveyard, this becomes cheaper. So this could conceivably go down to only costing me 1 black mana later in the game. We also have 1 Ray of Ruin. As you saw, we can exile target creature, vehicle, or non-basic land. This is from Ixalan. It's a very good spell, I think, because there are so many non-basic lands coming out of Ixalan. They're very popular. And you can see sometimes people tend to rely on them heavily. We were in a similar environment back with, Adventures of Forgotten Realms? And they had, every color had a man-land type thing. And it got to be a little frustrating sometimes that people would rely only on those. So you would sort of not be, your sorcery removals wouldn't work on them. You had to wait till they turned into a creature and then have instant removal. And that could be a little bit irritating. So this is a sorcery, but as long as you're, paying attention to their back row there and see that they can attack you with the non-basic land, you've got a way to handle it. So that works good. Also, there are some pesky vehicles that you might be valid targets later. So that's all of our removal for main removal, and it's not a lot. You see, we've got 3 of those, 4, 5, 6 types of removal, and then 1 board wipe. So it's only 7 removal cards. It's a little low. We've kind of got an 8th one here with Sulkanar the Tainted, because one of his choices is to deal 3 damage to another target creature or planeswalker. If you're not familiar with this card, there are 4 choices. The first 3 are good. You can draw a card, make your opponent lose 2 life, and you gain 2 life or deal the 3 damage. At your 4th turn, you have to exile the card and return it to the battlefield under an opponent's control. It resets like it's just been summoned to them, and they get to choose all the good choices before anything else happens. So, but our idea is we want to get through 3 turns, and then we will either use Burn Together to sacrifice it, or we will use Voldaren Thrillseeker on it to sacrifice it. Or maybe we use Fading Hope to bounce it back. So we've got a lot of flexibility, hopefully, with this card. And we've got a bunch of different choices that, any one of these could be available to us in the game when we're ready to play Sulkanar the Tainted. We've also got one Drivnod Carnage Dominus. This is a legendary Phyrexian. 8/3. If a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So I'm not sure how well this is going to work in the deck. I've got a 2nd copy. I'm thinking of putting it in just to experiment. But I think once we do something like one of these, like this, if we sacrifice a creature and it deals damage, I don't think that we can activate it again, right? Because the creature's already gone. We don't have a 2nd creature or the same creature to sacrifice all over again. But it says the ability triggers an additional time. So I'm not sure. Does that mean that we could conceivably have it deal damage twice somehow? I don't think so, but I want to try it and just learn how this card works with things involving sacrifice. See if there's any neat combos in there, or if it's just going to fizzle because the creatures are gone. I expect it to fizzle, but I'm going to experiment. Anyway, you can also spend 2 mana, exile 3 creature cards from the graveyard, and get an indestructible counter on Drivnod. But it's either got to be black mana, or you can pay 2 life. So any combination of those, right? Black mana and 2 life, 2 black mana, or pay 4 life just to get that done. And finally, we have 1 Hullbreaker Horror, as you saw, and we have 3 Shadows of Mortality. This is, along with Overwhelming Remorse, why things aren't as expensive as 4.4. The normal, usual casting cost of this is 15 mana. But as they hit us for life, our life goes down, this casting cost goes down by an equal amount. That's where X is the difference. So if they hit us for 13 points and we're down to 7 life, we can summon each of these for only 2 black mana. So these are also good targets for the Voldaren Thrillseeker or for the Calicel Sword, depending on the conditions. So a handful of large creatures. And let's go see what else we can get going. Did I cover Sizzling? I think I missed Sizzling Soloist. This is not a usual card. Just in case I didn't cover this. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, target creature and opponent controls can't block. If you bring down a 2nd creature, then that creature that couldn't block it has to attack during the next combat phase. So if they're putting down a Shieldred, and they don't want to let it do anything, they just want to sit there and let it ping you for 2 points of card draw damage every turn, and you bring down 2 creatures, then you could tell Shieldred, okay, you can't block the first time you bring a creature in, the second time Shieldred has to attack, and then maybe you run it into something like an Ancient One, or Shadow of Mortality. Okay, we're playing mono black, are we? They got a vehicle already. We expect a lot of removal cards. Okay, I've got a creature down. What if I just discard a card for now? Get rid of Fate Hope. They used all of their energy on that. Let's bring down another Sizzling Soloist. Just attack. Now I will go ahead and... Oh, hang on. Let's undo that. Let's go ahead and sacrifice a creature. Well, Shadow of Mortality is way expensive, so it goes away. So, mostly a discard deck. And look at all that they managed to do already. Got quite the board state built up. Okay, we'll bring down Grivnod. And we'll go ahead and attack. They could block and trade with the vehicle if they want to. They are. They're going to trade. Okay, so now I'm going to have 3 creatures in my graveyard. I can make Grivnod indestructible. It might cost me 4 life, but I can get it done. Let's see if they recognize that. I don't have Trample on Grivnod though. Okay, they want to destroy it. We're going to pay the life. Get rid of our 3 creatures. Make their murder spell fizzle. This becomes a chump blocker, right? Because it's 0. Ooh, the Ancient One. Okay, so I can bring down you now. And I can bring down you now. And we can attack with Dribnod. Block with the Dissenter, that makes sense. They'll get a 2/2 back. Okay, how much ammo do you have left up here? Undead Butler. So you can get back the Dissenter. What else did we get? Just lands. So they could get back a Doom Dissenter. That's still a good chump blocker, right? I can't block with Ancient One yet. I don't know why they attack with a 0/4. But I need to do something about the flyer. Okay, you come down. We enlist. Just the one attacker. We're going to enlist the Ancient One, make it a 9/3. They shouldn't want to take 9 points. They're not going to kill the Berserker, though. They're just going to let the Butler die. So it looks like they're just counting on having a bunch of chump blockers on the ground at infinitive while Gravelighter hits me for 2 from above each time. I have 0 permanents in my graveyard right now. they don't seem to be running out of chump blockers on the ground either. Oh, they do not attack. Okay, so we exile you. And then we're enlisting again. Wait, didn't they cast the Undying Malice over on the Virus Beetle and then they didn't block with the Virus Beetle? You'd think they would bite the bullet and just kill this thing at some point. Alright, so now we're going to attack with the Kelvin Flame Sage. And we should be able to cast pretty much anything we want, yes? I'm about to bleed dry. To get rid of their life linker. Double block, please. Thank you. At last, we're getting rid of some of the chump blockers. And I finally got one permanent in my graveyard. That doesn't have to tap when I mill things either. Uh-oh. They could get a Gravelighter back. And they have a permanent 1/1 chump blocker on the ground now, and me still without trample. Okay, so let's go ahead and mill. We're going to draw and discard. I'm going to mill myself 3 cards. We're at 5. Sizzling Soloist. Let's do this again. Draw a card. Discard a card. Milling myself. I have 8. That's what I'm talking about. We enlist. We also attack with the indestructible one. And we tap the ancient one, so we're attacking with 17 power. Chump block, chump block. They didn't kill anything. What are they bringing back? The Gravelighter? Okay. Except... Can I do... Yes, I can. Okay, so... Target creature deals damage equal to its power to any target. We're going to deal that to... Oh, we're going to do this one. We're going to do 9 damage to their face. Boom! And then because it died... Oh, it works! It does work because of Drivnod. I meant to say thanks. And then we bring this down. Okay, so the triggered ability of him dying, we got to deal the 9 damage twice instead of once. Plus, we were already dealing the 9 damage from the burn together. So, 27 points of damage in a single turn. We brought the Sellsword down as fodder against Gravelighter. They've got to decide. Let's see, nothing died, right? So you give up your persistent specimen, right? Because you need a chump blocker. Unfortunately, you've only got one black mana left. And I have one of these. Opponent calls it. Perfect. Lots of enlist, a little bit of sacrifice. Didn't really have any backup because the Thrill Seeker didn't come up. We fired bricks. But I'm very happy that Dribnod works with the sacrifice of the Balduvian Berserker. That might merit me putting the second Dribnod in. I'd be willing to go over 60 cards for that. Just have that double up the possibility of that circumstance being able to happen again. How many cards you got? Good number of cards. Lots of removal again with black. Let's go ahead and see what they're willing to do to us. The first Balduvian Berserker is usually the canary in the coal mine. And I'm not getting... I missed a land drop. So we get rid of that one. We go get our first black mana source. And I'm going to need a lot more, and it's not good that I'm missing land drops already. We've got to wait for them to go find it. Okay, they got a third color themselves. In the meantime, Greta can just attack right past the Berserker. And they didn't miss a land drop. All the food tokens. Oh no, they have Welcome to Sweet Tooth. I'm going to die so easily. I'm going to die. Okay, shoot. Okay, we'll do the end now. Let's see if they have multiple copies of Greta. What's in your hand? Oh, they have a Chimley already? Obstinate Baloth, Provisions Merchant, and Tanos. And they only have one other Greta. Ugh. What else do we have? Bitter Triumph, Cosmic Hungers, Tough Cookies, and Goose Mothers along with Welcome to Sweet Tooth. Oh, I am in for a tough battle here. No attacks. They get the food token. What are they bringing up next? They already bring out Chimley. Disgusting. Well, I guess I'm passing. No. Well, minus 13U. Fizzle the spell. That's a Beast Peasant. And they just have another Sweet Tooth all ready to go. Path of Peril can get rid of that later. Let's see. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you can copy it. Okay, so let's just go ahead and attack. They chump block. It's not what I wanted them to do. Now they can make copies of whatever they summon. That's a nice deck list. It's a good use of Thanos. With all of these food tokens that can also add green mana. That's just a sweet deck list. I love their deck list. I'm gonna have to try and see. I don't think I have all of these cards yet. Okay, I didn't have anybody die. I think we just go get another blue. And those art tokens, do they count with the mana value? Does this count as 4? Yes, we just got rid of the 1. Got rid of the tough cookie. I think we're done there. $11. Disgusting. So dead. I have not gone up against this deck before. I like it. Good game. Yes, weird. Oh, they got trample and everything. And I wasn't even bothering to block. And they managed to go ahead and they wanted to kill it anyway. I'm just trying to look around and see what gave him the trample real quick. Oh, there we go. Sacrifice a food, attacking creatures get +1/+1 and gain trample. Very nice. We didn't get quite what we wanted to with our colored lands right away. But they had so much in their hand immediately available. It looks like I just pulled the trigger on Greta too early, and you should have just waited on the end to use it on Thanos. And that would have helped me with at least half of those creatures that were attacking. Alright, yeah, we won one match, and then I need to make sure to embarrass us. Okay. I should have stopped to take notes on that deck. I wonder if I can recreate it from memory later. Well, I have the video, right? I can always come back and reconstruct it later. There's a playlist I have for those of you that are new to the channel of decks that beat me. So every now and then when a deck beats me and I like the deck, I try and recreate the deck and play a few additional rounds with it to show you how the ins and outs of it work. But that was a pretty good demonstration of that deck right there. Do we want to do this now? Yes, we do. Because we get rid of the Inquisitor so that they don't get the bonus for transforming the incubations. Then we bring down the Sizzling Soloist. They should just want to put a counter on that. No? They run it in. Alright, that's fine. How many of those do they have? We've got the Norn's Inquisitor. Would they have 4 copies of that? That I should use the end on that? I feel like I should just use Overwhelming Remorse. Save the end for something a little more difficult. I should have expected Phyrexian Awakening. And we'll just get rid of that puppy too. I need some other creatures. We'll bring this down, I guess. getting lots of land. Okay, so they try and destroy that. We just sacrifice it and go hit this for free. And that way Deadly Derision fizzles. They don't even get their treasure token. And then we've got Risen Reef here. And we can swing in and hit them for 4 and mill them for 4. And good, got rid of an Ossification, Alabaster Host, and an Infected Defector. That's all lovely. I do concede that there is value for having these man lands. I think that's what they're still called. Fading Hope. Bring it back up to our hand. We use Risen Reef, Restless Lever itself. Ooh, that gets rid of the artifact, right? Perfect. And then we just bring the land down this turn. And they're kind of flooding out. Destroy up to 1 artifact. Target up to 1 artifact. Yes. Why can't... Oh, it's an enchantment. I thought that was an artifact. That's been an enchantment the entire time? Okay, so never mind. I don't feel too bad about using these lands into creatures myself, but I don't stack the deck with them. I have 1 copy of Restless Reef. I have not burned a bunch of wild cards to get other stuff. Got rid of a couple more creatures. They get the Sleeper, and what's... Oh, the Grafted Butcher. So they could sacrifice this and bring it back if they wanted to do that. Let's see. This is fine, right? Because this is a 4/4, so I can just run this on in. Got rid of Dead Weight, got rid of Pile On, got rid of another Awakening. And I'm starting to flood out with land. Let's go ahead and just bring you down this turn. I feel like they might have removal. I feel like this should be this should do more. Like you should also be able to draw a card, but it does let you destroy an entire artifact and get a +1/+1 counter. I guess that's costed right. We will make that trade, that's fine. Oh boy. Pass. This might be removal. I don't have any protection for my creature right this second. These I can incubate if they exile them. So this is actually a good target for the end. Because they haven't come up before, right? And I haven't seen that in the milling. So do they have 3 copies of that? Let's try it. They let us exile it. We get to see what's in their hand. It's an instant. They have 1 more of those. What's left here? Basically, about 11 creatures left to go. Let's see, where are you? There we go. Draw a card. Excellent. Now you are an artifact. We are matching each other for land, right? But then I've milled some of their land away. Which means I'm drawing more than my fair share of lands. Okay, they can use removal on this right away, but what we're going to do is we're going to destroy their artifact and give us a counter. They let it happen? Yes! Perfect. Because now if they destroy it, we deal damage. Yes, thank you. Just get rid of their Inquisitor. And let's see. They could sacrifice the treasure to bring that back. We're back to using our Restless Reef. And that's the best I could have asked for, because we got rid of the Phyrexian Missionary, so we don't have to worry about them bringing stuff back from their graveyard. More land? That's an okay land. And we nearly got them. And sometimes it can be the most frustrating thing in the world. Ooh, actually 3 lands out of that. 16 cards left for them. They didn't get what they wanted. So again, not really winning by enlist or backup, but some of those cards did come in handy to keep control of the board state. We're winning with Hullbreaker Horror, we're winning with Restless Reef. I still think it's fun to have that Drivnod extra double trigger. I gotta figure out what to take away to fit in my second Drivnod if I want to keep it at 60 cards. Maybe we have too many Calicel swords, because sometimes I hold on to those as dead cards in my hand a lot. Alright, we are going to need at least 7 lands, preferably 8 to make the deck work the greatest. Sometimes this kind of deck, especially Dinosaur, yeah, Dinosaur. And then I get some speed out of milling. Let's see. Let's go get our second blue source now. They can ramp with that, right? Mana of any color. But this is kind of a nice combination, right? Death Wand at Sprout mills a card, puts it into the graveyard. And this, they can exile a card. If it's a Dinosaur spell, they can cast it from the graveyard. So they already got Bloodletter out. That's disgusting. My Ray of Ruin is not ready. That comes in tapped. I don't think I'm going to get stuff out in time. My removal is 5. I'm not even going to last for that. The opponent got to go first, so by turn 5 I'm going to be dead. Yeah, I don't even have a creature in that. Well, I can put Shadow of Mortality out already. If they don't have removal, I'm still pretty close to dead. But, okay, so if I do... Do I just sacrifice it now in order to get it Bloodletter? Because they might have a removal spell. I'm still going to take 6 damage. I'm still going to die. There's not enough here to... Oh, look at that. Okay, well, let's see. So we can bring down you. And we can bring down you. Ugh. Have to sacrifice. And 2 Tithing Blades. Not a chance. Alright, yeah, that was just too fast. We knew they had a fast deck. Alright, I don't want the video to go too long. I think that's enough games. So we're probably at like 50%. We keep winning and losing, winning and losing. Let me go in and show you the deck one final time. And I expected the Voldaren Thrillseeker to show up a lot more often than it did, actually. We didn't really get as much into that as I was hoping for. But I like the deck. I like the cards. I like the configuration. I really love, if you couldn't tell before, the way Balduvian Berserker works when it dies with Drivnod. So that was awesome. I want to put a second card in there. I'll just add it in right now, so it'll be part of the deck list. We'll be at 61 cards. Go ahead and leave me a comment. What would you take out to keep us at 60? Because it's a 5-drop. It's kind of expensive. And I already have, you can see I have a lot of 5 and 7 and 15 drops. So what do I cut to make room for that? Or do I just add in a couple of lands? And because I could end up milling a lot of stuff with the Ancient One, maybe this is okay to have an oversized deck and just stack a couple extra lands in there. Because if I mill some lands, they'll count as permanents when I get to the Ancient One and that kind of thing. But yeah, Enlisting backup. I like the concept. Seems to work pretty well. I don't know if it's consistent. I probably not something you could take out on ranked. The meta in ranked is a little bit faster than this. Has to gear up. This needs to get usually about 5 mana to get to the good consistent removal spells, or you're kind of counting on getting out a couple of cheap creatures and letting them die, so your overwhelming remorses are affordable earlier on, which can happen a lot. But like I said, probably not something to take into ranked. But still, it's a fun deck to play, I think. Let me know if anybody takes it out and takes a run for it themselves. But yeah, go ahead and leave me a comment. Let me know. I want to have a second Drivnod. I want to have more chances for these types of combos in the deck. And how do I make room? Do I just get rid of a Sizzling Soloist maybe? That kind of thing. So we'll leave it there. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.